Session one was a lot about endpoints, and I really thought that that was an interesting and patient-centric topic to discuss, because endpoints really do need to be patient-friendly. I mean, having an endpoint that is not relevant to the patient experience, what's the point? It's not going to be a successful trial by any strategy, and you're going to have problems getting patients recruited. It's going to be a problem from the get-go. So, in fact, you really want to make sure that those endpoints are patient-relevant. And we learned, for example, that you need roughly 8 to 10 trials to validate an endpoint. That was something that was an interesting fact. There were a lot of innovations around endpoints, and how can we use perhaps, other endpoints then, or we talked about recycling alpha and how you can possibly work in quality of life into all those endpoints. And those are really important topics to me and the people that I'm here to represent. So it was a great session.
Session 2 was quite intense, but I take two messages from there. The first one is really, and that's based on the estimates, that we really need to think carefully and extensively about the question that the trial is asking and define it extremely precisely, and that is also valid for early phase studies. So that's the first one. I think that the second key message that I heard, and I fully validated as being a statistician myself, is that innovative designs, adaptive designs are fancy, they're powerful, but they may not always be necessary. They may not always be justifiable, and sometimes a simple design is very adequate and probably the best to address some specific question.
What I like the most about the workshop is the discussion we have amongst each other, the agreements, the disagreements, and the exchange of ideas, really. People present a topic in a brief session, but what is then most important is all the questions and answers that take place, and what we can pick up from that. That's my opinion. Also the so-called corridor talk, where people talk about all topics that keep them busy. That's where we learn the most, or at least I do.
I would say that the second day was a little bit better than the first day for me, but maybe that was because I could recognize the terms, I understand more of the language, I understand the flow and so on, and also the fact that you were talking about us, the patients, because I am a patient.
So there's a few themes that were coming through all the different sessions, and one is that we live in a very complex world, complicated issues that we're trying to solve. And what you heard from the regulators and the different speakers was that it depends, because it always depends on the context and the situation, but what we see is that we see some major challenges and opportunities, especially in Europe, that it requires everyone to collaborate and come together. And what you also hear is that there's really change needed across how every single stakeholder behaves in our current ecosystem in order to do the best for patients.
What I liked about the session is that it put the emphasis back on the basis of the research. So what is the research question that we want to answer? I think in this time there's many data available, many advanced methods available to solve all sorts of questions. But we should not let the available data and methods guide what we want to know. So it's important to first make a collaborative effort and first come up with the research question that we want to answer. And the introduced estimate framework gives a nice framework for that.